Escape Engineers Inspector Summary video. We're here in Cleveland, Ohio, Euclid. This fire escape here is a pre-existing non-conforming structure, and we have some issues. Fire escape must be structurally sound, must be kept painted in order to pass inspection, and proceed immediately to a load test. What we have here is a fire escape that has been kept painted, so the paint job, which was recent, does allow it to pass the paint side of the inspection, but now we have the structural, and there's some structural issues on this fire escape that I will now talk about that prevent us from proceeding to the load test. This fire escape has the ability to be spot repaired and then load tested, or you can fully refurbish it at this time and avoid the load test at this time, and also for the remaining future of anywhere from 15 to 25 years. It still needs its 5-year inspection, but you can provide other evidence of strength if you do significant refurbishment on this, and that includes 100% of all the major structural connections, but not necessarily all the minors. But the minors one must be in good condition, no rust in any of those connections. Tiebacks into the building. Suspect, we need to verify these or change them out. And then we need to start sealing so we get no rust jacking and ice jacking starting to pull. We got rust in some of these connections that need to be cleansed. We've got some rot on the framework down below. We've got some pieces of steel sticking out that can hurt somebody, so we need to reconnect this properly back into the building. There's a slight tilt of this fire escape system off the wall. Oh, getting stuck already. All right, let's talk about, if you look underneath here, you've got some rust jacking happening on the bracket. Original hardware, it's pulling away from the building. We have to verify that through bolt into the building. The whole corner is collapsing. So this is this area, and as you can see, she's dipping down, and she's pulled away from the wall right there, as you can see. So this is an area that needs to be addressed. There's a new bracket that they pull in there, and that bracket seems to have some new bolts, but those are expansion bolts, not through bolts. So if those were epoxy bolts, then that would be different. But again, it's in the middle of the system. It's not industry standard or code standard of what was done here to basically re-support this. So going back up, we have rust in any connection. Any connection with rust, you got to cleanse it. I recommend highly that all these joints get sealed. As soon as you seal any of these joints, water doesn't get back there and continue rusting. But any place that still has rust that was painted needs to be cleansed out. So there's rust still there in some of these. So the vendor that's going to repair these is going to identify all of this. Anybody that has structural knowledge will start identifying places where paint just went over rust, and that's what's happening on this platform. This platform is missing pieces of its structure. See, it's already rotted out right there, 100%. So there's some standards that can be done here to basically box this up and reinforce this. But right now, this is an unsupported platform up here. It's suspect, and I think this is an unsafe structure at this point up here on the very top here. Going down, the treads all have probably 25% failure rate in some of the connections, and that is connections like this, connections back into the wall. Some of the connections you can see where the rust is building up right here, and it's popped it. So this one is one that, you know, the treads have rust on both sides over here. So man, if you look at these, you want to mark these couple here, because this is one tread. Yep, it's not tied back into the building, I know. Try not to shake it while I'm on it, Manny, thank you. So the treads have to be the rivets. Again, this is 75-year-old structure, and there's been some band-aids put on it and you got rust building up there. So some of this is just not industry standard repair that was done. But again, once you get all these platforms properly connected, you got to verify these into the building. On that one over there, which I'm going to do next, it talks about, it shows how the rust is getting in through that sleeve. So, but again, it's been painted. But let's go here. Let's talk about some of the rotted piece from up above. As you can see, the rotted piece there. So that truss, which is not a normal fire escape construction, but it is here in Cleveland, is rotting out there. The bracket they put in the middle of this needs more activity. It's on the sized angle. As you can see, it's 1.25" angle instead of 2" by 2" by quarter. The epoxy bolts instead of expansion bolts. These are 3 expansion bolts going into this, going up the stairs. As you can see, probably 25% failure on the treads. And again, it's just where the joints are, and water has accumulated in there. Got to just clean those out, and and then you got to put a bolt in there. You can't weld this. One of the things about This fire escape, it's older than 1978, so you're not allowed to weld it. You have to re-bolt accordingly. The EPA has guidelines now on scraping and painting this fire escape, so because this is already all painted, we don't have that as an issue, but nobody can just come here and weld. And if you weld rust back into a connection, it still doesn't pass. Once you spot repaired this fire escape, then you can proceed immediately to the load test. The load test on this is about 2 feet by 10 plus 15. Just this part here is about 10 to 15 feet. You're looking at about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds on that platform, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds on this platform, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Again, it's done at different varying times, but the fire escape has to carry the load test. On here, you can see what happens on some of these spacers. You can see the rot in there. See, water's getting in there, and that's an accumulation of rust. You've got some non-standard repairs here for the railing systems, and we'll cover that on part number 2. So, Fire Escape Engineers, inspect the summary video, 866-649-0333. Examination here. This is Fire Escape Engineers. Inspect the summary video. We're here in Euclid in Cleveland, Ohio, and what we have here is now a platform that has lots of band-aids on it. That angles, metal. So a lot of this is not standard repairs, and some brackets were introduced into this that are not properly. This one, for example, was not properly attached back into the building, and I'll show that on the way down. We already covered up the up above as not being repaired proper to industry standard or to code, so that needs to be looked at and discussed. We've got this pipe here that was introduced, and this is one of those pipes with a screw that you can basically adjust, but again, substandard angle. That even looks like that angle up there was actually a bed frame. So there's the end of the bed frame, so that's, it has to be 2 by 2 by quarter angle for most structural, 2 by 2 by quarter. We've got pieces popping. This truss that acts as a support, see, it's popping all its rivets right there, and it's rotting at the very bottom. You'll see from below that the bottom is all rotted out. So these are things that can be addressed and done differently with a 2 by 2 frame. So we're going to start going down the fire escape stairs and addressing the issue. So these temporary supports that was put in here is really not necessary, but it's sometimes what occurs when people have questions about the structure, and they added this, looks like plumbing pipe with cast iron fittings. So that's not normal. So as you can see, rust is happening in the connections, rust is happening in this connection, rust is happening in this connection. You've got rust jacking happening on that bracket right there. She's accumulating rust in that bracket right there. That bracket that was put there is also as you can see there, she's also put in with expansion bolts, not epoxy bolts or through bolted into the building. You got a lot of rust that stay behind that got covered. You got some substandard, metal here that somebody put over just to cover this. There's another bracket that's not standard. This bracket here is not standard. They put it in here, and again, they use 3/8 or 1/2 inch expansion anchors. You can't do that. It has to be 8 to 12 inches deep with an epoxy bolt. The angles have to be 2 by 2 by quarter angle minimum. So this is an unsupported platform edge here, and she's all rotted and falling apart right there, as you can see. So she does have some life safety concerns, and it's an unsupported structure that I would not be able to load test at this time. She's got too many questionable concerns. We have some pre-existing non-conforming, and that is this ladder. We have to ask the city official if they'll allow this to continue. This is not a standard to have a fold-out, this folding ladder here. Usually it's a staircase to the ground, just like the rest. If the city official will allow this to be grandfathered in, then we just want to make sure it's properly tied. But that's a call for the city official. This bracket here is not a standard bracket. As you can see, it's 1.5-inch angle with holes in it, mainly used for supporting shelving that was put here to support this other second half. Again, substandard, was put here many years ago. But again, we have rust growing in every one of these connections. So again, this truss system here is, again, you can spot repair this fire escape with engineer oversight, and then a load test will be performed upon completion. Or if you want, you can change all the fasteners at this time, the major fasteners, not necessarily all the minor ones. All the major fasteners get changed out, and the structural gets resolved, and the tiebacks into the building get taken care of. No rust in any of these connections, and this thing can basically be certified in lieu of a load test because you're using other evidence of strength. So that's what's going to be discussed with the city official, the authority having jurisdiction to determine what he wants to do with this fire escape, whether he wants to allow the spot repair and the load test, or whether he wants the full refurb. And again, that will be a question to the owner as to which one is more economical. Both will satisfy the city official, but now it's just a matter of economics on this fire escape. Any questions? Structural only, no paint, maybe some spot painting only on some certain areas. Any questions? Fire escape engineers, Cisco Manessas here, 866-649-0333, 866-649-0333. Summary video. We're here looking at the inside. The brackets are through bolted, but onto a piece of pressure treated wood. That pressure treated wood must be removed, and you have to use the same size 3/8 or 1/2 inch piece by 6 or 5 inches flat by 1/2 inch thick, doing the exact same thing, and that will create the as a matter of fact, you might be able to even do a sandwich with that. Okay.